Crossroads Urban Center has reached out to the people running to be the Democratic candidate for Utah's new District 1 in the United States House of Representatives to see if they're willing to meet with us and share their answers to 3 questions. The first candidate to respond to our request is Senator Nate Blouin. Can you introduce yourself and briefly tell us why you're running?
Yeah, thank you. It's always been great to work with Crossroads. I've worked with Bill and other folks here for years on the Olympics and other issues, these critical things that are coming forward in our community. So I've served in the state Senate for 4 years now. I have addressed many of the issues that Crossroads is focused on: affordable housing, homelessness, putting food on the table for working families. And those are the things that people are concerned about right now. I have been on SNAP before. I have worked low-wage jobs in the past, and I know that people feel like they're struggling and they are not getting ahead. And we need to change that system. That's why I'm running, to take on the status quo. To make sure that we have people that are really listening to their communities. That's what I've done in the state Senate, and that is what I hope to do in Congress.
Thank you. Going on to the questions, our first question was, the minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 per hour since 2009. Do you support legislation to raise the federal minimum wage?
Yeah, so this is a critical issue for Utah because Utah relies on the federal minimum wage for our state minimum wage, so we still go by this $7.25 minimum wage. I ran a bill this year to put a $20 minimum wage on the table with some caveats in there to make sure that we protect our small businesses, to make sure that there are some steps to move into such a big increase, but that is what people need. Utah is not a cheap state to live in. The actual number we need to shoot for is $24. That's what's considered a livable wage in the state of Utah. So we need to index this to inflation. We need to make sure that this is rising as the cost of living rises, so we don't have to come back and ask for these increases every single year. And that's something we need to focus on and to raise the bar here in Utah so that people in a state like ours, where costs have risen more than in other states, where the state legislature has not done enough to address this issue, we need to put working people first to make sure that everyone can put food on the table, can put a roof over their heads every night and aren't struggling and slipping into homelessness or poverty, as we see far too often. We know that people are struggling with these costs. The minimum wage is just one way to address that, but we absolutely have to move forward from this $7.25 minimum wage that we've got right now.
Thank you. Moving on to our second question. The big beautiful bill championed by President Trump made many negative changes to Medicaid and Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs, SNAP. Would you support legislation to repeal these negative changes to vital healthcare and nutrition programs?
Yeah, this has been really devastating to see. The big beautiful bill shifted around a whole bunch of Medicaid funding. They have this rural health transformation fund that basically took $150 billion out of our healthcare systems and only put $50 billion back in, and that's been communicated in a way that people don't understand. We need to repeal these changes. We need to work towards Medicare for all. That is something that I support, to address the healthcare side of this. That will lower costs and make sure that everyone has the access they need. They can get preventive care, so they aren't slipping into dangerous situations where they have to go to an emergency room. And then on the SNAP side of things, it's just about putting food on the table. We are the wealthiest country in the world. We can take care of our neighbors. It shouldn't be means tested. It shouldn't be worried about what your immigration status is. If you're hungry, if you're in this country, you should be able to eat, and we need to fix that. We need to fix what has happened with the federal government and fix what Utah has failed to do as a state, because we have also slipped behind on these issues, and the rhetoric has become so toxic that we need to kick people off if they aren't doing their jobs, if they don't have the right piece of paper. I'm frustrated with that, and I think we need to change the entire conversation around this so that people just have the right food to eat. They can be healthy, they can live their lives, they can be productive in society, and be good neighbors to all of us.
Thank you. And then our last question is, during the past year, HUD has proposed major controversial changes to programs that help fund homeless services. Congress has taken action to block some of the HUD's proposals. If elected, would you work to protect funding for homeless services from proposals that would make it harder to reduce homelessness?
Yeah, it's been frustrating to watch what the White House has tried to push into states like Utah, this move away from housing first, which we have seen can work if we fund it properly. So we need to reverse the changes coming from the White House. We need Congress to stand up against this sort of overreach, this sort of cruelty that we're seeing injected into the homeless system. We need to fund housing first. We need to make sure that people have a good bed to sleep in, that they have the services around them to get them back on their feet. And that is not what we're seeing from state leaders. That's not what we're seeing from the federal government. And that's what I'm going to work towards in DC.
Thank you.